Arsenal, I think, is a great piece of business for the Gunners, for a team that I think are desperate to win, and it's a must-win situation now under Mikel Arteta for a Premier League or a Champions League, some big silverware, some big trophy. They need to get their hands on it, and I think Victor Gyokeres might not be the final missing piece of the puzzle, but he's probably the biggest piece of the puzzle that they've needed for so long. Arsenal fans, let me know your thoughts down below, how you're feeling about the prospect of Victor Gyokeres. They're calling him Gyokeres. Sources say they're calling him Gyokeres over at Arsenal. But let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here. Now, let's start with, obviously, the most obvious part of the conversation is that he has scored 39 goals in the league. Over 100 goals in 2 seasons for both club and country. There is no doubt about it. This guy is a shooter. He is just a goal machine. And I think Arsenal don't need a striker who has this all-rounded number 9 play that does the silky, the elegant stuff. You just need someone, in my opinion, that's going to put the ball in the back of the net. Why? Because I think around the striker position, I'm talking about the attacking midfield, I'm talking about the right-hand side, the left-hand side, Arsenal have these great players. You know, they've got Bukayo Saka, they've got Martin Odegaard, they are potentially bringing in a Eze or a Rodrigo, depending on who the player is that they end up signing in. They are going to get players that can do a whole load of just running at opponents, and not just running at opponents, can also score as well. But they also need that target man. They need that number 9. They need that guy that's just a quotation mark gunman in the box. You don't need the guy who's going to link up the play with the midfielders. You don't need the guy who's going to be the false 9 that's going to drop deep and, you know, keep the ball ticking and link up with the midfielders. You don't need that. Arsenal need someone that's just going to put the ball in the back of the net. And who better to get, in my opinion, than a guy that scored over 25 goals back to back in the league. And some people might say it's the Portuguese league, take it with a pinch of salt, but Evan Nilsson came from Porto to Bournemouth and scored double-digit goals in the Prem for Bournemouth. So I think Gyokeres will be okay at Arsenal. I know a lot of people speak about Darwin Núñez's ability to adapt or inability to adapt to the Premier League, and I don't think it's the same situation. I really don't think it's the same situation. When you look at the strikers that Arsenal actually was linked to under Mikel Arteta, especially this summer, Sesko, Gyokeres, Isak. I don't think Isak was ever going to happen. It doesn't seem like Newcastle are really willing to sell him. And I think between Sesko and Gyokeres, I think Gyokeres was always the better match. I think Gyokeres would have been the better match for anybody that wants a striker that is going to score. I think Sesko would have been a big risk. And for the fee that Arsenal are getting him for, I think it's a total package of 73 million euros, but it's a base fee of about 63.5 million euros. That's good business. That is very, very good business for a striker of Gyokeres' caliber. Now, some people might not feel like they are getting their money's worth with Victor Gyokeres. Some people might not feel like, you know, he's going to completely come in and hit the ground running. But I genuinely think, from watching Gyokeres back when he was in the Championship, and I watched him quite a bit because I was watching Championship football a lot then because of all the United players that were on loan in the Championship. For a player that I think was comfortable in the Championship, for a player that has exceeded expectations in the Portuguese league, I don't think he's going to have that tough of a task to come into the Premier League and score. Maybe, you know, I think this will be the case for anybody that comes in for a big price tag into the Premier League. People are going to make jokes. But when you look at all the teams in England right now, or all the teams across Europe that have proper good number 9s, Arsenal couldn't afford, in my opinion, to fall behind. You see Liverpool happy to drop bags on Ekitike. You know, Haaland is already at Manchester City. You know, Newcastle already got Isak. Spurs got Solanke. Manchester United got no one, but that's neither here or there. But you get my point. The point of the strikers, everybody, even in Europe, you got the likes of, you know, Borussia Dortmund playing with a good number 9. You got Bayern Munich. You got Barcelona. Barcelona playing with a number 9. You got Real Madrid, who don't play with a number 9, but probably could do with a number 9 with the way that they play at the moment under Xabi Alonso. Arsenal cannot afford to fall behind Liverpool and fall behind City, who it'll probably be those three competing for the title next season. You got Chelsea as well. They got Liam Delap, but they also got João Pedro all in this window as well. This summer has been a big window for the Premier League in terms of bringing in attacking talents across each team. Every team is trying to enhance and improve and upgrade the attacks that they got, because next year it's going to be goals galore. That's my anticipation, and call this a little bit of a hot take, but I think Gyokeres will be able able to get 20 goals. I think Gyokeres will be able to get 20 goals across the league next year for Arsenal. Now, the most important thing as well for Arteta is not just bringing in a Victor Gyokeres, it's also about what you pair him with. You've brought in Noni Madueke, you've brought in Zubamendi, you know, you're bringing in, you know, defensive resurgences such as Mascara, and you've brought in a goalkeeper in Kepa. But you need to, I think, Arsenal need an upgrade on that left-hand side. And if they are going to upgrade on that, do they go down the path of Eze or do they go down the path of Rodrigo? Now, I think Rodrigo would be a good striker, second striker option. So if they've got Gyokeres and they bring in Rodrigo, play him as a left winger, but essentially playing as a second striker, drifting in central and occupying the spaces behind the striker. But then if you've got a person like Martin Odegaard, who takes up those similar spaces, not necessarily like a second striker, but in attacking phases, they would end up occupying the same space. I don't know if that's necessarily the right frame of mind. I really feel like Arteta's going to end up going for Eze. I really think Arteta's going to go for Eze. Eze can play off the left. He can play as an attacking midfielder in the 10 as well. So that's versatile. That's, you know, someone that can play across multiple different positions. You got Noni Madueke for backup for Bukayo Saka, and even him as an option probably on the left-hand side as well. But let this be a statement, I think, to all the opponents that are going to come up against Arsenal, my club included. If you double up on Bukayo Saka, I think Bukayo Saka will be happy with that, because he's now got a target number 9 that is a physical presence in the box that can help him if he puts in deliveries, if he plays a pass in behind. Now, I've said this before at the beginning of the video, I'll say it again. This is, for me, the season that Arsenal have to win. Arsenal have to win something. I'm not talking FA Cup, I'm not talking Carabao Cup, I'm talking Premier League, Champions League. And Arsenal fans might think I'm being quite harsh on Mikel Arteta, but I just think when you've been there for that long and spent that much money, you have to have something to show for it. And yes, second place finish across multiple seasons is something relative to show for what you've done, because it is definitely an improvement, but it's not the pinnacle. It's not, you know, the glory of what football is, which is winning silverware. And I don't know how Arsenal fans feel about it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think that this is the year that Arsenal under Mikel Arteta must win? And let me just actually mention, what the hell was Edu doing in comparison to what Berta is doing now at Arsenal? Because I feel like the Arsenal transfer window and the path that their transfer window has gone down has completely changed compared to when Edu was the sporting director. When Edu was the sporting director, I feel like Arsenal moved slow. I felt like when they did find a target, it didn't move that quickly. With Gyokeres, of course, we know that the fee and the agreement of add-ons is what has been holding up the transfer, but it was always going to be Gyokeres to Arsenal. As a United fan, guys, I've said it so many times on my stream, I never saw Gyokeres joining Manchester United. When he said that he wanted Arsenal and Arsenal was his priority, it just always made sense to me that he would end up going to Arsenal. And that's why I'm not surprised that he has ended up going there and they've agreed terms, and you know, you got the here we go for that. But what the hell was Edu doing when he was the sporting director in comparison to Berta? But let me know your thoughts down below. Non-Arsenal fans, what do you make of Arsenal's transfer window? Are you impressed? Are you curious to see how it turns out? Arsenal fans, are you happy with your number 9? Do you think Arsenal made the right decision in signing Victor Gyokeres, the Swedish gunman from Sporting? Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here.